Hey, what's up guys, Jaeky here. Today we're going to be checking out the llano glass gaming mousepad. Shout out to llano for sending this out for review, but as always, that does not affect my opinion of it. So this is actually quite an affordable glass pad, which is perfect if you are on a budget but you still want to try out glass mousepads. Currently, it's retailing on Amazon for $80 USD, and that's discounted 20% from the MSRP of $100 USD. If you guys are interested in checking out this pad, I will leave a link to it in the description below. Starting off with the packaging here, the packaging is actually super solid. The actual box for the pad itself comes inside of another cardboard box, so lots of layering here to protect your pad during shipping. Opening it up here, you do get a cleaning cloth that's also provided alongside the glass mousepad, which is great to see. One benefit of glass mousepads, which I mentioned in all of my glass mousepad videos, is that they are super easy to clean and maintain. Unlike cloth mousepads, all you have to do with a glass pad is just take a damp cloth and wipe it down every now and then. So yeah, it is nice to see that they do provide you with a cleaning pad here alongside the glass mousepad. Moving on to the pad itself, as you can see inside of the packaging, there's a lot of foam here to protect the pad during shipping. So like I mentioned earlier, packaging here is super solid. You get some thick foam inside of the box to protect your mousepad during shipping. Moving on to the pad itself, there is only one colorway for this pad, being the black colorway, and I think it looks pretty sleek. You can choose between two different sizes for this pad. The first one is 13.8 inches by 11.8 inches, and the larger one, which I have here, is the 17.7 inches by 15.8 inch. As you can see, this is the size comparison when compared to my Artisan Zero Extra Large. It is slightly smaller than my Artisan Extra Large, but still a very good size. If you are getting this pad, I would highly recommend you get the larger version. On the bottom of the pad, it isn't completely rubber/silicone like you would see on a Wallhack SP004, but rather you have these 4 rubber feet in each of the corners of the pad. And honestly, I'm not too worried about this pad slipping around on my desk, just because with glass mouse pads, they have so much weight behind them that you really shouldn't have any issues with the pad sliding around. I had no issues whatsoever with the 4 rubber feet. The pad didn't budge whatsoever just because it's so heavy, and those 4 rubber feet are more than enough to hold it in place. The surface of this glass pad is a micro etched surface with a premium 7H tempered glass material. This means that it's super scratch resistant and you don't have to worry about the surface of the pad being scratched up super easily. There is a slight texture on the surface of the pad, and this just makes sure that it increases compatibility with all mouse sensors, because the mouse sensors do need a little bit of texture on the surface in order to track properly. And the thickness of this glass pad is 3 millimeters. So in terms of the glide speed and tracking performance, I really had no issues using this glass mouse pad. It tracks just as you would expect with all of the mice that I tried. I used my G Pro Superlight 2, my Helios 2 Pro S, as well as my Unius Black Lotus. All 3 of these mice I've tested on this glass pad, and none of them had issues with tracking. So that was good to see. In terms of the glide feel, it feels slightly more controlled than the Wallhack SP004, which I've been using, and I also reviewed their latest Futurefall drop as well. You guys can check that out in the description below. But when compared to the SP004, the llano glass pad is slightly more controlled with a little bit more grip and friction on the mouse. It kind of reminds me of the Lock-On Harut as well as the Tenta X Cataclysm in terms of the glide speed. So if you're looking for a glass mousepad with a little bit more control, then this might be worth looking into. Some people don't want a completely frictionless feeling like you would get with an SP004 from Wallhack, so I think the next step here would be to go for something like this, with a little bit more of a balanced feeling. But with it being a glass mousepad, it is still very smooth and a lot faster than your traditional cloth mousepad. So do keep that in mind. I'm by no means saying that this is a control pad. I'm just saying that for a glass mousepad, it is on the more controlled side. If you guys are looking to pick up a glass mousepad and you've never used one before, I would highly recommend you also pick up an arm sleeve alongside the glass mousepad. Arm sleeves are super important because it just makes sure that you're getting the fastest glide on the pad, and it makes sure that your arm and wrist don't stick to the pad. This is especially important if you're living in a humid environment, or if you're just somebody who has moist arms and moist hands when they game. You will find that your arm and wrist stick to the glass, so I would highly recommend picking up an arm sleeve. You can pick one up from wallhack.com. They have a ton of different arm sleeve styles. When you are getting an arm sleeve, I do also highly recommend you get the glove portion as well, not just the arm sleeve. And you can use my code Jaeky at wallhack.com for a discount on your order. After you get an arm sleeve, I would also recommend you get some skates that are specifically designed for glass. The reason for this is because regular PTFE skates wear down super fast on glass because the glass basically just kind of acts like sandpaper on PTFE. And also you want to get some skates that are specifically designed for glass because PTFE does feel very scratchy on glass just because it wasn't made for it. So if you're just using the regular PTFE skates that come with your mouse, you will find that you have a very scratchy experience and you're just not going to get the best glide on a glass mouse pad. So if you do want some really good skates for a glass mouse pad, I would again recommend the Obsidian dot skates from wallhack.com. You can go over there and get skates as well as an arm sleeve if you don't have those two already, and those two will make gaming on a glass mouse pad a lot better. But yeah, glass mouse pads are definitely a unique aiming experience, especially if you've never used one before and you've always used cloth. I would recommend that everyone try one out at least once just to see whether or not it's something they like. Glass mouse pads are great for games that rely heavily on tracking. The examples that I always use are games like Apex Legends or Overwatch. Games like that with smooth aiming and heavy tracking would definitely benefit from the smooth glide of a glass mouse pad. Another huge advantage of glass mouse pads, which I touched on a little bit earlier before, is the fact that they're super easy to maintain and clean. All you need to do to clean a glass mouse pad is just literally take a damp cloth and wipe it down, and that's pretty much it. So glass mouse pads will pretty much last you forever, unlike cloth mouse pads where you wash it, you know, like once every couple months, and then after a few years, if you're lucky, the glide on the cloth mouse pad eventually will just start degrading and it won't feel the same as brand new. But that's really not the case with glass mouse pads, because with a glass mouse pad, it can literally last forever since the surface doesn't wear down like a traditional cloth pad would. So that's really like the main appeal of glass mouse pads for me, at least, is the fact that they're super durable and super easy to maintain as well. But yeah guys, if you've never used a glass pad, really the only way I can describe the feeling of the glide is just that it's frictionless and it just feels like your mouse is kind of gliding across your table. There's really no effort when you're stopping to aim at something. Like the stopping power is really good, and there's no effort at all when you're trying to move your mouse from a static position. It just feels like completely effortless. But yeah, that's pretty much it guys. That was my look at the llano glass mousepad. If you guys are interested in checking it out, I will leave a link to everything in the description below. That's pretty much it. See you in the next one. Peace.
That's done.
10 kills remaining.
Dead.
Five kills remaining.